Thank you. We have one more presenter, and her name is Mukadas Tashieva, and we have been working together for quite some time. And I'm super happy to be able to present a wonderful participant, a real citizen of the world, an international teacher who has just been absolutely wonderful. I know her from KG Sol, that's in Kyrgyzstan, but now she's an academic programs associate intern at Kent State in Ohio. She's an inclusive education researcher from Kyrgyzstan. She works on the academic programs team with the Global Connections Department, and they design and implement professional development exchanges and scholarship programming in the US and globally. Before coming to the US for her master's in education, Mukadas worked as an access program teacher and coordinator in Kyrgyzstan for 10 years. So I imagine you're at least bilingual, if not trilingual, and you know what works. So I hope everyone will please join me in a very warm welcome for a wonderful, warm, fantastic person. Yay!
Thank you very much, Miriam.
Sure.
I think I need co-hosting to share my screen, but I'm really excited, and I cannot imagine that we are on the sixth what edition of our conference, yes, that we are doing. So it has been 3 years that we are collaborating with Online World Education, yes, and then we are friends, and we are co-minders, I can say. So we share experience and we bring people together to share their experience, yes, and learning from each other. Yeah, so thank you. And this time I decided to present, and let me quickly tell about what am I doing in the US, yes, what am I fighting for. So far I am pursuing my master's degree in the US in special education through the Fulbright program. And special education is something that we need to consider about children with disabilities, how to bring them to the classroom and teach them, because my belief was teaching through education, they are able to know better the world. That's why I came here, and that's why so I'm working on it. And today I would like to share one of the strategies of this that we can create equity and equality in the classroom. So my topic is about differentiated classroom via traditional classroom. And Design Thinking Education 2024, yes, so our sixth conference. This is really great. We would like to see more in the future. And maybe one day we will just turn into the in-person conference in the future. Yeah, okay. Next overview. What are we going to learn, or what am I going to share today? So we will talk about what is differentiated instruction. Why do we need differentiated instruction in the classroom? And classroom observation of Highlander Charter School on Providence, Rhode Island. So we are going to observe some classroom where they implement. How do they implement differentiated instruction in the classroom? So what you learned from this, what you will learn from my presentation, we will see and observe in the real classroom. Okay, so next, look at this picture and compare. Where do you see traditional classroom, that direct instruction, and where do you see what differentiated instruction classroom? So of course, the first picture is traditional, that we usually provide direct instruction to our students. And on the second, so we have diverse stations where students are divided into several groups, and they have their own learning stations where they learn. And usually back in Kyrgyzstan, we used to see mostly traditional classroom, which is that is on the picture first. And we try to implement traditional instruction as well in the classroom also. But however, here in the US, I noticed mostly the second picture. So where there are many differentiated stations where students learn about something with their group or individually. So the question comes, so you can share your ideas in the chat box. So how do you discover how your students learn? Because we teach and we would like them to share and we'd like them to gain something in our teaching, yes? And so how do you discover that they learn? So after each class maybe, or okay, try to share in the chat box, maybe 30 seconds if you have any ideas, just. Mhm. Yeah, this question might be the most important for us as a teacher, as an educator, because we need to learn and observe each of our learners' need and so their learning process. And I think that differentiated instruction will help us because what is the definition of differentiated instruction? It is when differentiated instruction is doing what is fair for students. So we need to be fair in our classroom for each of our students. And it means creating multiple paths so that students of different abilities, interests, and learning needs experience equally appropriate ways to learn. So we need to consider about the equality as well. So that's why I think that the most important is differentiated instructions. So the rationale for the differentiated instruction. So there are different levels of readiness. For example, we have diverse learners. We cannot say that all students, they are equal. So, and even we can observe about that we have, I think traditionally in Kyrgyzstan, we have active students and passive students, or strong students, we can also say yes, or some weak students. Therefore, we need to consider about the rationale. So why do we need differentiate instructions? And so different interests. Each student, they have different interests. Students preferred interest in note taking, video making, or they have interest and learning styles are different, therefore, and different ability levels. Students' learning abilities are diverse. So some of them, they might be really fast learners. They might be slow learners. And one of the reasons of my slow learners, it is different cognitive needs because students, because of their students, what of the students' mental abilities. So we need to consider about their mental abilities. They might seem a physically healthy student, however, they might have some cognitive or mental needs. That's why so you need to pay attention for those learners who are struggling in learning, who are every time getting bad marks. Yes, usually we try to evaluate through the some mark, so evaluation grade, putting grades, yes, 5, 4, 3, 2. So that's why think about those learners who usually gets every time gets what low marks. So therefore, what is cognitive impairment? The question comes. According to the research, a cognitive impairment is also known as intellectual disability. Is a term used when a person has a certain limitation in mental functioning and in skills such as communication, self-help, and social skills. These limitations will help cause a child to learn and develop more slowly than a typical child. So therefore, dear teachers, please think about those students who are struggling in learning. In the research, there are three-tiered level of education that we need to consider. Tier 1, so you see that the triangle. So tier 1 is universal services, beneficial for all. So it considers those students who is able to learn everything and who is kind of healthy student. And tier 2, targeted service, targeted to some of them. For example, maybe you have some students who are good, some students who need some help. So they may also join in the regular classrooms. But what is tier 3? Tier 3 is individual service, specific to one. So these are students who have some disabilities in learning, in their maybe in their life, that in general disabilities. That's why, so we need to consider about three-tiered learning, and then pay attention. What type of the students do you have in your classroom? I think there are some students who join in Kyrgyzstan also. Mostly I will focus on Kyrgyzstan because who join regular schools, students with disabilities, but maybe teachers, how do they handle teaching these children, so they refer to tier 3. And tier 2, it is those who are able to study, but at the same time need some help. And tier 1, those students who are actively participate in the classroom, who are healthy ones, who are regular students who would like to grow further. And if you look at this picture as well, yes, there are some active students, there are some passive students might be. So according to you're observing your classroom as well, you can also see and observe your students' abilities to learn. Carol Ann Tomlinson. So Tomlinson, she considers as a pioneer of differentiated instructions. And if you would like to learn more about her, so you can search, you can Google it and find more information. Next, she suggested 4 key pillars of differentiated instructions. And differentiated instructions, she suggests that the first is content, second products, and then third is process, and then learning environment. What is content? So content, what the student needs to learn or how they will acquire new information. And product is culminating project that asks students to apply or extend that they have learned in a lesson or task. And process, it is the activity in which the students engages in the classroom with their peers, in the small groups or individually. And learning environment is the way the classroom looks and feels. During my teaching back in Kyrgyzstan, I taught children with disabilities for English language. It was really hard. It was really tough. However, we tried to find some ways to overcome these teaching challenges. And I think that differentiated instruction was one of my tools in my teaching. So I could find individual needs of each student, but it was unconsciously. Now studying here in the US, I found out that there were some benefits of this differentiated instruction. Therefore, I wanted to share. So focus on this, and that there are 4 key pillars of differentiated instruction. Let us see then. Differentiating content, resource materials, for example, at varying readability levels, audio and video recordings you can prepare, highlighted vocabulary, charts and models, interest centers, varied manipulated and resources, peer and adult mentors. So the content you have to think beforehand and then prepare it and then bring to your classroom. And I think that for the content as well, so but you need to, as a teacher, observe what are your students' needs, yes? And we have learned a lot today about AI. AI might be a good tool. It's not, as Dr. Primel said, that it is a tool. So a good tool for you to support your teaching classroom and to differentiate your classroom, and so to create equality. And let us watch a video. This is the school where they use differentiated instruction in their classroom. And so watch a video and try to define 3 benefits of the differentiated instruction. So let me try to share, and if you hear the sound, can you hear the sound? Okay. So now watch the video and try to define 3 benefits of differentiated instruction in the chat box, okay? And then I will stop in some ways that what I have shared previously, maybe you might find some answers here. So.
So the impact of differentiation, the students feel successful. They feel supported. They know if something is difficult for them, there's something that's a little more in line with their strengths coming up soon. So it really makes education fun and approachable.
Mukadas, you're muted.
Okay.
We're never going to get used to it, ever. Never used to speaking online, no matter how many years we spend here.
Yeah. Could you hear the voice? Yes, and the information about it. So, can you share some benefits? Benefits of course they share that equal learning. Yes, and all students they have ability to join each activity, and that's why. So we need the what differentiated instruction. So differentiating process, making sense and meaning of content. Use leveled of and tiered activities. So if you have weak learners, so you need to consider about their learning abilities. But the total topic might be the same, okay? That the general topic might be the same, equal to everyone. However, so you need to think about the levels of their learning, especially in teaching English language. We have diverse levels, mixed levels. In this case, so you need to also think about their levels, interest centers, and hands-on materials. Vary pacing according to readiness, yes? Allow for working alone, in partners, triads, and small groups. There are some students, extroverts. Sometimes they would like to work in the groups and they would like to share, to lead, yes? And of course, at the same time, we need to consider about the introvert students who seems kind of passive. However, they might be smart. At the same time, maybe in this case, if you would like to learn more about them, so maybe they can just share their own work, working alone, yes, or working in partners and asking them. So you need to consider about and all allow choice in strategies for processing and for expressing results of processing. So now we will come back to the video again, and you will see, watch a video again and try to observe classroom process. Where do you see differentiation? So I think the video will be around 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So let us watch and let us listen to the teacher's insight about in the real classroom, how do they work. And at the same time, think about your own classroom. How can you change your classroom? And is it possible to use? So we can discuss at the end of my presentation, maybe if you have questions about that, how can we change Kyrgyz traditional classroom into the differentiated one?
Mukadas, there's no sound. That must be because of the
And especially in the
Sorry, Manisha?
sound is probably lagging.
Okay. Do I have to reshare again?
You know what? Do me a favor. If you have the link, if you have the link to the video, you can share it in the chat, and I think we can just give 2 minutes to everybody to just watch the video on their own. Is that possible?
I have tried with a sound, so let me see, okay?
Yeah, let's try
Catalyst. We want our kids to be able to do anything any other kid from Providence could do.
We use differentiation all across the curriculum here at Highlander, and especially in the first grade. Although the content is the same, having the stations really allows me to tailor my lessons to each individual group of learners. So how the differentiation looks in my classroom, we start off with a whole group lesson. So let's get our reading glasses on. Let's get the letter part of our brains activated. This section of our curriculum, we have been looking at non-fiction texts. When we're looking at our book today, we're going to be thinking about where we can get information. And then in the phonics realm, we focused on contractions. We're taking two words, and what are we sticking them together with?
Apostrophe.
Yes, Karen. And then we break off into our small groups.
You see, at the beginning of the lesson, it might be direct instruction, so that all students, that the content is the same, yes? And then now you will divide your students into the what stations according to their learning needs. Okay, let us watch.
Groups. So our yellow group is still learning how to do a lot of our literacy things. The green group is doing pretty well, but has a few things to work on still. And our blue group is hitting all the first grade standards and needs to be stretched. Doing pretty well, but has a few things to work on.
I also would like to pay your attention about that stigmatization. So you know that some students, they feel that are kind of stigmatized, yes, in the classroom if they are weak learners. Therefore, as a teacher, you need to consider about this and then name your so the groups according to the colors, yes, animals, shapes, or something else that they would like. Even usual, I divided my groups into the according to the superheroes. So this superhero group or that, so it depends on the student's age and their interest. So you can bring different types of diverse groups according to their level of interest. But do not say that you have to go because you are weak learners, okay? So be really careful and consider about their equality.
Still, and our blue group is hitting all the first grade standards and needs to be stretched. So our differentiation kind of takes two forms. The first is by student grouping, and the second is by modality of learning. We have 20 minutes per station, and there are 3 of the stations. The students will rotate through all 3 stations each day.
So our first station for the blue group is the computer station.
The students use a Google form to check in. They'll normally watch a video or carefully observe a photograph and answer some questions about that.
We watched a video about how to grow a seed. We had to type in our favorite part and why.
After they finish that form, they can check out an ebook.
And then you could do this game of reading called Teacher Must Know How to Read.
We're delivering things in a way that is visual, that is auditory, that is individual to the students through the technology.
After that, she rings the bell.
Clean up, switch up, first grade readers.
We switch to the sort station.
Our sort station is more of a physical modality. They're using their bodies, which is so important for first graders. They need to move. Kids are cutting out the words, they're gluing them down.
We had a contrasting game. It's fun because it's all mixed up and you had to find the right pieces. And then after we do that, we do rainbow writing.
That's another way that we differentiate. If students are able to get through more work, then they have some freedom of choice. Clean it up, switch it up. The last station, we're talking to each other and learning from each other. So that's more of the social interaction type of modality.
I like the teacher station the most because we get to be with Miss Gallagher and we get to learn cool stuff.
So take a look at the illustrations on this page, right? And the content is the same, but it can be differentiated in a number of ways. My blue group, for example, they know what text is. They know what illustrations are. And so for them, I create a Venn diagram.
You need to make one circle like this, and then you make another circle overlapping that.
Oh! For the yellow or the green group, I'm just leaving the Venn diagram out of it. We're still doing essentially the same thing, but just that piece that might be confusing to some of those students, I just leave that out for a later time. They'll get to it. All right, so clean up and meet me in the middle of the rug for writing. Nice work.
Yeah, you know, at the last station, the teacher, she meets with each student, yes, in her station. And then she changes her task according to the students' learning abilities. So therefore, I think that this might be a good approach for your students. So to learn and to enhance their learning abilities in the classroom. And then differentiating products, showing what is known and able to be done. So tiered products choices, model use and encourage student use of technology within the products and presentations. For example, now you can integrate AI. Those students, even if we don't have laptops in the classroom, so you can ask them to use their cell phones and create something in their station. Yes, for example, you can create AI tool station, for example, and then give a topic, and they can just come and do something with this AI. And then, but also depends on the content, on the topic of your teaching. Yes, provide product choices that range in choices from all multiple intelligence, options for gender, culture, and race. Yes, so thinking about it again, about the equality. Use related arts teachers to help with student products. So that focus should be that products should come by the students. Okay, next, let us reflect about that. What is the big difference between direct instruction and differentiated instruction? Do we have to avoid direct instruction in this way? And I read in the chat boxes, of course, differentiated instruction, it is a lot of effort. It needs more preparation. And here are some characteristics of each instructions, for example, direct instruction. Direct instruction characteristics that focus on clear objectives and systematic presentation of material. So for a long time, we have been teaching and using direct instruction that our students, they got used to, yes? And then often involves modeling, guided practice, and independent practice. As a teacher, so as a students, they just wait teacher what she gives us or what teacher gives us, so they will gain and then they will individually respond. But in differentiated instruction, it is vice versa. They interact with each other. They use language, especially in teaching English language. So therefore, so you need to consider about this. And what about the characteristics for the differentiated instruction? So recognize that students have varying backgrounds, readiness levels, interest, and learning profiles. So each student, they might feel more confident during the differentiated instruction. So during the stations might be, even not only so you can create the stations, but you can also differentiate the task for some students, yes? Involves modifying content, process, products. These are and learning environments. These are the 4 pillars of the differentiated instructions. And of course, it aims to provide equitable learning opportunities, ensuring all students can succeed. And the main aim is to create equality and equity in education. We need to consider all those students who are in need, at the same time paying attention for those who are smart ones as well. And I think we don't know most of our students. Now studying here in the US, I understood that we have students, but those students, most of them, they may have learning disabilities as well. So therefore, so consider about these students and how can you implement differentiated instruction in your classroom. So I would suggest you to have a piloting class or just pilot one class. I know that you are busy, you have many classrooms, maybe that grades to teach. However, just pilot in one classroom and see within the 1-2 months how will it will result. And then later on, you can this piloting, so you can implement in the others with other students as well. In this way, so at least you will have some chance to use differentiate instruction and create equal education in your classroom. And it is really tough teaching English for those who are struggling with the language learning, yeah? So therefore as well. And that's all, I think. This is all about my presentation. With this differentiated instruction and with this approach, I could succeed to teach English for children with disabilities, with diverse disabilities. And most of them, they are now they are enrolled in the colleges, so they found some work in their jobs in their life. So that's why I believe that when we create equality and equity in our classroom, when we pay attention to each of our students' learning needs, so in this case, we can achieve success not only in our teaching, but in their learning as well. in their life. So thank you very much. Hopefully my presentation was beneficial for you. If you have any question, you are welcome to ask.
Thank you so much, Mukadas. I bet there are lots of questions. I know when I was teaching in the primary schools, I made videos and everybody watched the same video, and then people had different questions. They all had the same worksheet, but some people only had to do the first 4 questions, and some people had to do all of them. And it wasn't perfect, but it definitely counted as differentiated.
Yes, I think it's time, I think, for Kyrgyzstan teachers also to use differentiated instruction in your classroom. And
So
I
hard. It's
don't
so much
like,
work.
yeah, I don't like, putting bad marks for students. It is better not to evaluate, just evaluate them formatively, okay? And differentiated instruction, it helps you to assess your students. So formatively, I mean that through formative assessments, through some task activities, you can see where is your student. Yes, the aim is not just putting 5, or the aim is not putting 2. Yes, bad marks, but the aim is to be a friend and to create the freedom of learning in your classroom. I think that's why also it is better to use this instruction, integrate in your classroom. Not only that every time I know, but I know that our teachers, we educators, we are creative, and we love our children, and we are mostly devoted to our classrooms and to our students rather than to our own children. Yeah. And then later on, you can do differentiated classroom instruction together with your students as well. Yes, develop there. But the main idea of your classroom should be equity and equality. I think I will fight for this further, because through education we can change the world, especially to help those who are in need in education.
That's wonderful. Very inspiring. That's what we need. We just need to, we know what the right thing is to do, but we just need to be rekindled in that enthusiasm. And yes, this is the right thing. We have to do it. We have to, be inspired. Thank you so much. Are there other questions
I
before?
think there is one question about piloting class. Yes, piloting, it means that example class. If you teach, for example, 7th, 8th, 9th graders, and just select one class, okay, one grade, to pilot, to implement differentiated instruction in your classroom, and then see it, observe. Ask your colleagues to come to your classroom. Ask your teachers, so just to observe your classroom, and you can share, talk, and even ask. You may also provide some formative assessment of your students. Yes. And then at the end, you can analyze what worked well, what is not. And then at the same time, next, you can improve, because we are learning, and giving too much in activities in the classroom also, it might be sometimes harmful for students, because one activity to another. Yes. However, you have to think and observe which activity works with your students better, and then create station for these activities. And then your students will know that if we go to this station, or if we do this activity, we will come for this outcome. Yes. So piloting, it means that example of just trying using one classroom to implement in your class. So to use new activity. Every time, do not bring new activity in the classroom with all. Just try to pilot, try to use and observe. And then, because we are equal, but we are diverse. So that's why.
So, like a pilot is like we're flying this idea through to see how it works. We're gonna try it out, test
Try it out. Yes, example.
try it
Yeah.
out.
Try
Try
it
it
out.
out with a small group and then a bigger group or one class.
And then, yeah, because bringing different ideas immediately to all students or to everyone, it might sometimes also harm. That's why it may not work. So when you apply, think about it and try to pilot it. Yes. Any more questions? Okay. Mhm. So
Wonderful.
thank you, everyone. So hopefully you will use in your classroom, you will think about this and then apply. And I think that the whole content of the conference was really beneficial for today in our professional development. So applying AI and learning more about it, which is really need in our community, yes. And at the same time, you can use AI through the differentiated instruction as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think AI can really, really be a tool to help us, when we could make two worksheets, same video and two completely different worksheets, one, made by AI and one made by yourself. You might have to make the one for some students, where you really have to help them more, but they don't read well, and then the other one, AI can just make that one. So I think that really can be a tool to help us speed up our lesson planning. Right. And that can inspire us more. And that can help us make videos too.
Exactly. I will share my presentation. Someone asked about the presentation as well. And also, Manish, I have a suggestion. Maybe we can share the certificates here and each participant can write their own names. Because what do you think about this suggestion?
No, no, I don't think that's a great idea because I'll tell you the problems with that later. Not right now. But I think we should just do it the old traditional way.
Mhm.
Gulruk, you can cut the video now. Thank you.